Motley Crue bassist Nikki Sixx is doubling down on his beef with Pearl Jam vocalist Eddie Vedder, saying he doesn't understand why Vedder chose to take a swipe at Motley Crue. It all went down about a month and a half ago when Vedder gave an interview with the New York Times, and he talked about changes with music fans and alternative rock, and he said, quote, I used to work in San Diego loading gear at a club. I'd end up being at shows I wouldn't have chosen to go to, bands that monopolized late 80s MTV, the metal bands that, I'm trying to be nice, I despised. Girls, 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 and Motley Crue? F you. I hated it. I hated how it made the fellas look. I hated how it made the women look. He then added, Guns N' Roses came out and thank God at least had some teeth. But I'm circling back to say that one thing that I appreciated was that in Seattle and the alternative crowd, the girls could wear their combat boots and sweaters, and their hair looked like Cat Powers and not Heather Locklear's, nothing against her. They weren't selling themselves short. They could have an opinion and be respected. I think that's a change that lasted. It sounds so trite. But before that, it was bustiers. The only person who wore a bustier in the 90s that I could appreciate was Perry Farrell. Nikki Sixx responded to that interview a few days after it came out, writing, quote, made me laugh today reading how much the singer in Pearl Jam hated Motley Crue. Now considering that they're one of the most boring bands in history, it's kind of a compliment, isn't it? He went on to say that Eddie Vedder sounds like he's singing with marbles in his mouth, and responded to a Pearl Jam fan defending Vedder, writing, remember, there were zillions of brown-haired bands for brown-haired fans. Go find them. You'll know them by the bored look on their face. Now, in a recent interview with the Brazilian music critic, Nikki Sixx spoke on that feud with Pearl Jam's Eddie Vedder, explaining why he decided to respond to those disses. He said, I'm not trying to be the guy that wrote Bastard, because I'm not the guy that wrote Bastard. I wrote that song about somebody that ripped us off. I am the guy that if you F with me, I will F with you back. And that's what this song is about. You take a swipe at my band, I'll take a swipe at your band. You try to hurt my family, which is my band, I will try to hurt you. That's not something to be proud about. He was then asked specifically about his criticism of Pearl Jam and why he responded. He said, I remember going to MTV with a copy of Nevermind before it came out, Nirvana. Me and Tommy were on there. We were like, hey, you got to check out this band. You got to check out this band. And they were bands that were coming. I remember having a cassette. I think it was demos. It might not have been. It might have been early recordings for Rage Against the Machine. And I remember telling everybody about that. We've never been afraid to embrace music changing because that's the whole idea behind music. If you listen to Too Fast for Love and then you listen to The Dirt, you're like, well, it's the same band, but it has grown. So we've never had a problem with that. My only thing is, you want to take a crack at my band, I'm probably going to say something back. But what I don't understand is why the guy's even talking about my band. He's a successful guy. Listen, let's face it. The guy flies around in private jets. He lives in a mansion in a gated community. He sells out stadiums, and then he dresses at the thrift store and tries to pretend he's some guy in the 90s. Don't take a swipe at my band, dude. I mean, I'm at least being honest. In this case, Nikki Sixx does make some good points about Eddie Vedder dressing like he's from the thrift store. No doubt about it, we probably won't be seeing a Motley Crue and Pearl Jam tour anytime soon. No love lost between the 80s bands and the 90s grunge bands, that's for sure.
That's your latest update from Rockfeed. Be sure to click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on future stories. Check out the recommended videos on your screen and visit rockfeed.net for more.